Welcome to Conversations on Retail. My name is Matt Pfeiffer. Today, I'm being joined by Manny Lubin, one of the co-founders of Slate Milk, and I've really looked forward to this conversation for a number of reasons. One, having followed the Slate story from Shark Tank and kept up really more with Josh, your co-founder, on LinkedIn. It's a fascinating story. So, Manny, welcome.
Thanks for having me. Yeah, Josh is I think it's known internally at Slate that Josh is the better LinkedIner. So I'm glad you're following through Josh. He's good at keeping everyone updated.
Yeah, I don't even think you and I are connected on LinkedIn. Nonetheless, it's been a fascinating story. So what I want to do, obviously, I want to spend some time talking about Slate Milk and what the company is and why it is and what the what the story has been, the journey so far, and the future. But I always like to start with founders, especially all the way back to the beginning. I'd love to kind of dig into your childhood. I joked with someone earlier in the week. I'm not really interested in your favorite color or anything along those lines, but I
Blue,
do
but
think,
anyways.
yeah, mine too. So I do think that one's upbringing is what helps us kind of discover abilities and passions and beliefs and so forth that kind of shape us and steer us toward in one direction over the other. So I'd love to dig into that. You grew up in the Boston area, right?
I did. I'm from Wellesley, Mass, right outside Boston, and grew up loving sports. Me and Josh both. Athletes growing up. Like there wasn't a season where we didn't have a jersey on our backs, and I think that's really where we both developed this love for team building and like a goal of achieving something with the people around us. And it's funny, our story really begins there because after practices, we were chugging chocolate milk, right? Like what kid doesn't like chocolate milk after a practice? And I say kid, I mean, into our teens and then after workouts into our 20s and then it just never stopped, right? But I think that growing up, being an athlete, just that feeling of victory with your brothers, the people around you that you end up like loving like family. I think that is what both drove us to get involved in startups. And I think for both of us, we wanted to be a part of something bigger than ourselves. And for us, there are a lot of large corporations out there with great missions and everyone really matters and feels as though they're contributing. But I think for us, Josh and myself, we knew very early on that we wanted to be a part of something smaller and a little bit more lean, where every day we had more of like an impact on the success of the business.
So I knew at 10 years old that I didn't want my father's life, that I wanted to build something myself and have have some freedom in life. At what point did you kind of begin to notice the entrepreneurial calling? Maybe not in the moment, but in looking back, when did you first start to notice that, hey, this is something?
Probably, I mean, it's funny until probably like a couple months into Slate, I said I'll always say I never knew what I wanted to be when I grew up. And then I think it was just the creating something. I think that it was probably late into college, where I saw some of my peers working 9 to 5 jobs that they were excited about and passionate about, but I just felt like I had too much energy to like sit at a desk, and I like talking to people and I like problem solving. And I think it was probably about halfway through college where I worked at Northeastern University, which was great because they have the co-op program where you can actually you take semesters off to work full-time internships. And I learned more about what I didn't want to do than what I did want to do. And I think that was extremely beneficial because I feel like a lot of people after they graduate get into a career because they think it's what's best for them. And then they realize it's not what they want to do. So I think Josh and I were both fortunate to learn that during our collegiate days.
Yeah. So were you playing sports through college at intramural or more?
So at Northeastern, my freshman year, I was playing pickup basketball and I actually tore everything in my knee. And so the sports life was taken away from me, and that's where I got involved in other things. So I was VP of a few organizations on campus. I was VP of my fraternity and then VP of a community service organization that was like hyper localized Big Brother. And again, just building those communities was a lot of fun. Just again, the community service organization, when I joined, it was like 7 people and it was a great group of us. And then when we left, it was like 150 applicants. And it was really cool to see how excited people were to contribute and just like continue building on this thing that started from scratch. And I think that's really where me personally, I caught that, wow, like if I worked hard at something every single day outside of sports, like build a community or an organization, it can really grow and then snowball past my time.
Yeah. Now, when did you meet Josh? Did you meet him at university or did you know him before?
Yeah, so it's funny. We were in similar circles. We definitely crossed paths, but actually when I graduated right out of college, I started a brand ambassador tech company called Repper that connected college students and brand ambassadors. It's very small. I did it for about a year, actually, with my older brother, Ron, was my co-founder, who's now part of the Slate team full time. And Josh at the time was at another tech startup. And that's where we met, both in the tech startup space. And both of our companies were going through pivots about a year and a half into both of our businesses. And that's where we both wanted to create something we could hold. Like tech was exciting, obviously, infinitely scalable. It was back in 2015, 2016, 2017 when apps were coming out like crazy. Not that they still aren't, but we both wanted to sell something we could hold. And that's the one thing led to another, and chocolate milk came.
Yeah. And where did chocolate milk come from? Whose idea what was it? And it was it, well, I mean, I'll let you answer.
Yeah. I think that I came to Josh with the idea, but it's an idea that he's always kind of had to, because he had always been drinking lactose-free chocolate milk, and I had always been drinking lactose-free chocolate milk. It's funny, like in a group chat with my buddies, like years ago, I screenshotted the message. This was years before Slate started. I just sent an idea of like, why isn't there a chocolate milk? Like there's bodybuilder drinks that are artificial. There's kids drinks that are high in sugar, but how about just like a good brand that isn't so bad for you, is branded towards people like us, like fitness minded, high school athletes, right? People that previously played sports. And so it was October 2017. I sent Josh a deck for a company called Sweet Victory Drinks. It was just like a lactose-free chocolate milk branded towards millennials and adults. And he basically told me to screw. He's like, we're not doing, like, what are you doing? Like, we're not doing this. And then we looked into the market together, sat down for one more meeting, and then teamed up. And so from day one, like, it wasn't like me or him, like it was the two of us from day one, because he pushed me on some things, I pushed him on some things. Yeah. But yeah, October 2017 is when it all began.
Now, in the early part, if I remember this correctly, and obviously you'll correct me if I'm wrong, but you could have just white labeled someone else's. You could have just put a label on someone else's product, right? I mean, it would have been not terribly difficult to find someone else that had already created something, and you would just built a brand and marketed. But you really wanted to create something from scratch. Is that right?
Yeah, I think that we actually looked into that path, just taking someone else's, just making it our brand. But what we realized is that when it came to chocolate milk, there wasn't anyone that was making it healthy enough where we felt as though we could drink it every day. We always say selfishly, Josh and I wanted a chocolate milk we could drink every day. That's where it all began, because we were already doing it. It was too high in sugar. It didn't have quite enough protein to be a post-workout. And so when we looked at all the options out there, we realized that the actual liquid, like the product that everyone was creating, wasn't up to our standards. And that's why we went out and did it ourselves. And then on top of that, we are in shelf-stable cans. So we put our milks through what's called the retort process. We pasteurize our chocolate milks almost like a cold brew coffee, and you have to formulate it in a certain way to go through the retort process. And we were the first ones, as far as we're concerned, in this country to put milk in a can. So no formulation that existed would have actually worked for what we were trying to do.
Tell me about that moment when you all decided, yeah, let's do this. Let's go all in on it.
I think it was probably, the first day we got our first check. When we had the market opportunity, it was very small. It wasn't like a check that's you're not going to quit your job and move to Mexico if you make the kind of money like on your own. But it was like a small check where it's, all right, this is the market opportunity. This is the brand we're creating. We don't even have a name that's going to stick. This is, again, the white space in the market. All the pieces came together. Now the first step is creating the formula. Like we need something people can try if we're going to actually go out and raise more capital. And that was probably mid 2018. We just raised enough to go out and create a formula with a formulation team. And so during that process, we were looking at flavor houses versus formulation teams. And we went with a formulation team because we just had a great rapport with them. We still talk to them often. We've since moved on, but they still like give us advice, and we just cold call them questions. But that was the moment where it's like, all right, we're in. Like, someone gave us their money. Let's go do this thing.
Yeah. So, and that early money, did that come from the Kickstarter campaign?
So that was actually before. So we didn't want to launch so our mid 2018 is when we first went all in. Then throughout 2018, it was just the way that we like to think about it is like there are a lot of like chips of the business, right? Like almost like little coins. There was like marketing / brand. There was formulation. There was like legal, like documentation. Every day we just slowly move all these pieces forward, and that just takes time. And I think that is probably the most impatient we've ever been in our lives, but it required the most patience because you can't skip steps, right? You got to get every part of the business down. And the formulation itself took, even like the MVP, like the minimum viable product, took anywhere from 6 to 9 months. but it's just, you got to iterate, you got to be patient, you got to wait. And I think that what we had learned from just listening to a lot of other founder stories is patience. Like, don't trip over your own feet. Like, things, if you're going the right direction, just kind of like take your foot on the off the gas and let yourself glide. And so we were just, during that time, just doing as much networking and learning as we can, cold calling people in the dairy space. Like, we didn't know anything about milk other than when it was chocolate flavored, it tasted good. Right.
Yeah.
And so we learned about the UHT to aseptic process. We learned about the retort process. We learned about ultrafiltration, which is how we actually remove the natural lactose sugars from our milk. And then early 2019, when we had our first formula, which it's completely changed since. Like, that had stevia as our sweetener, that it separated like crazy, but we just had something. And then we launched the Kickstarter campaign in February 2019. And that was really, we had some, like, a little bit of money in the door and some people behind us that were helping us, like almost like mentor style. But that was really the first domino. And then from there, it started knocking over more dominoes.
Yeah. So whose decision was it to pursue the Kickstarter campaign, and how quickly did it come together?
Oh, 100% Josh. That was 1,000% Josh's decision. I didn't want to be bucketed as a Kickstarter company. Not that I even knew what that was at the time, but for whatever reason, I had the stigma that once you're on Kickstarter, like, you're a Kickstarter brand. And I don't know why. And then Josh actually was part of a founding team of an energy bar company in college that he learned a ton. He was only there for about 6 months to a year and helped grow them to about 500K in sales. And they did a Kickstarter and they did very well. And he just sold me on it, and he convinced me, and we did it. And it was a great decision. Like, that was 100% Josh's idea. And anyone that's starting up, again, even just to understand if there's a product market fit, that's what that did for us, because we wanted a better for you chocolate milk. We knew our friends and family did, but they could be lying. But that was the moment where, all right, we did 50K from 1,200 backers, most of whom we'd never heard of or knew. We had dairy farmers all over the country reaching out saying, thank you for innovating real milk. Everyone's doing the alternatives. Like, this is great. Let us know how we can help. And that's kind of the light, like the aha, like, all right, this thing has the potential to really gain some legs.
How long did it take the campaign to come together from idea to launch?
Kickstarter, I bet we were working on that for probably like 45 to 60 days before. And that's not like all day, every day. I think it's just hammering out ideas. It's reaching out to press. It's prepping friends and family. It's when we launch anything new, we try to do it with a bang. And the best way to do that, like, I don't think any company is ever too big to leverage their own personal network. Like, I have a buddy that's thinking about starting a company and asked like how we like got the ball rolling. It's like, just message everyone you know. And if they don't want it, ask them why. Or if they don't want to purchase it, ask them why. And I think that that was one of the things that I think we did well and we were advised to do well. And again, this is all the credit to Josh, is just prep everyone you know. And then when it launches, just tell them all to buy. And so we actually had a Kickstarter party at a bar in Boston. We got Kahlua and Absolute Vodka to sponsor it. It was a great time. And we had the samples of the milk there, and we actually had our friends and family like taking orders, like waiter and waitress style. And so all people had to do was give us their credit card. So I think at that party alone, we did 5K. First day, we did 10K on Kickstarter. We were on the homepage, and then again, it kind of started to snowball a little bit. And so it was a great experience. Recommend it. If people are just starting up, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, incredible. I think a lot of us would assume that a Kickstarter campaign is something that would, you have an idea on Friday and Monday morning, you're launching it, just comes together really quickly. Obviously the best campaigns have got great, content, but and that takes time. But I think a lot of us would probably assume that it would come together a lot more quickly. So, you mentioned patience earlier. I can only imagine 45, 60 days to prep for this thing.
No, definitely. And for us, it was like, we had been doing it at that point, at least on the side, full time for maybe 6 months, but on the side, we've been doing it for over a year. And this is like our friends and family. I feel like when anyone starts anything, there are a lot of awkward conversations with friends and family. Like, what are you working on? I'm working on this chocolate milk idea. Like, cool. Yeah. Like, no one really knows what you're doing, and your friends and family just want to support you, or at least like Josh and I have been very fortunate where our friends and family have always wanted to support us. So it was kind of like our presentation to the world. So we wanted to do it as good as we could. And so we did a fun little Kickstarter video too, which actually helped us get some press as well. The video itself is the most important part, and we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah. So what did you do with the 50,000?
So that we put towards our first manufacturing run. And then from there, the next step in our journey was actually going out and filming on Shark Tank.
Yeah. And how did that come together? Was that by chance? Is it something that, you sought out? Tell me about that whole
So you broke out a little bit here. But so we are still on a long non-disclosure agreement in perpetuity. So there's some things that we can't say. But
Okay.
we, the Kickstarter campaign led to Shark Tank. Shark Tank would not have existed without the Kickstarter campaign. And for us, it was a lot of back and forth with Josh and myself. And for anyone that's seen it, I mean, we were super early and we knew that. We kind of knew the direction it was going to go with the valuation we were offering. But at that time, we had raised a little bit more capital from the first sales broker for Chobani, who's now our lead investor, Stu. He's been a great resource, and he's kind of like that guiding hand. Like he was our shark. Like we knew that going in. And so we just didn't, we know how much capital it takes to be a beverage business and make it. And so we weren't prepared to give away a quarter of the business. And so we went into the Shark Tank, and pre-product, didn't have a finished product at the time, didn't have packaging. We actually I went to Staples out in LA and taped computer paper on blank cans. So those were filled with water, and did the best we could. And it was net positive, which is great. But during that time, Josh and I had a lot of back and forth of, is this what's best for Slate, or is this just a cool experience for Josh and Manny? Yeah. And I think that was an internal battle that we struggle with leading up to it. But going on ended up being beneficial for the business. And I think the story of Kickstarter to Shark Tank to where we are now has really helped us land a lot of investors, a lot of grocery partners, just people knowing that that's our story, is starting from concept, Kickstarter, Shark Tank, 3,500 stores, 25 employees. Like that growth story, I think is something that people want to be a part of. And I think that it's just been the people around us. It's just been like people around us supporting us. And I can't say it enough. It's been awesome.
Yeah. So fast forward, talk about where. By the way, you sent me some samples, and I love it. It doesn't taste like I thought it would taste. It's really good, and I appreciate you sending it out. But talk about where the business is today. How many store shelves are you on, and where are you distributing it from?
Yep. So we are. So we launched November 2019. We filmed Shark Tank June 2019. Then we launched a few months later. The episode didn't air until May. But so November 2019 we launched. We launched in about 300 stores. We're now in about 3,000. So it's been pretty quick growth for us, which is great. Today, as of June 2021, we are pretty much all up and down the East Coast. So going north to south, we're in Hannaford, we're in Market Basket, Big Y, Whole Foods in the Northeast, and North Atlantic or the Northeast or New England division. We are in Giant Martin. We're in Wakefern, so ShopRite stores. We are in Harris Teeter. We are chain wide at Publix. So really all up and down the East Coast is really where we're focused. And then there are a few select accounts in the West Coast that we thought would be a great fit for us that we partnered with early. So we think of like a Harmon's in Utah, Bristol Farms in LA, Hagen up in the Pac Northwest, Market of Choice. So we're in about 3,000 stores and really focusing on accounts. We're also in Wegmans. We launched Wegmans a couple weeks ago here. So really focusing on accounts that we think our consumer shops at. And we really hyper target what we say is the active millennial or healthy minded parent. So we think 20 to 40, exercises 1 to 4 times a week, but exercise could be a walk, right? It's not people that are going to the gym and trying to bench 300 pounds every other day. It's people that are healthy minded, that are trying to add protein, take sugar out of their diets, but still have that sweet tooth. And I think what's really helped us grow as well, other than the sustainability angle, the taste angle, is just the versatility of the product. So a lot of people aren't just we are a protein drink. At our core, we're a chocolate milk, but we're also a nostalgic protein drink. But we're not exclusively drink after a workout. A lot of people are having us for their breakfast shake, like a 3 p.m. bridge meal almost. And I think that's what's been really cool, is just hearing the feedback of when people are drinking our products and how it's really like affected their lives positively.
Yeah. So do you have a sales team in-house that's out there selling these accounts, or are you working with manufacturers reps?
Yeah. So we have a 25-person team full time. About 12 or 13 of those, maybe 14 are our sales team. So we have field reps, area sales managers, and they are the heartbeat of our business. They're going out, they're working with the individual stores. Josh, my co-founder, oversees all like our entire retail sales. I oversee e-com sales, But Josh and our director of retail sales, Mike, like they're selling. They're all day selling. And that's what I feel like food and bev business is you just go out and sell. And we, again, want to make sure that when we sell into an account, we focus on sell through of that account. What do we have to do to make it successful? Do we want shippers in the stores? Do we want fixtures in the stores? If there's flexo space in the front of the stores, like a checkout cooler, let's go and get it. Like we want to sell as many cans as we can at our current partners, the people that believed in us, versus maybe going nationwide with a huge retailer from day one. And then and we do have broker partners. We do have a lot of people that are working on our behalf. And then a lot of the way that we have been able to sell through also is just our digital strategy. Is we really put a focus on not only D2C sales through Facebook and Instagram ads, which we do pretty well on, but also just influencers. We have a full-time partnerships manager who all day, every day is reaching out to influencers, just cans in hands, just spreading the word online, and the impressions add up. The amount of eyes on the products add up. And then, someone in Florida, in Miami, sees 2 influencers post about us, gets hit with an ad trying to sell them Slate online. Then they go to Publix, they see one, they pick it up, and it just kind of works.
Yeah, I like your advertising, and as you have figured out, there's 2 ways to get your product on store shelves. One is that the retailer figures out that they want it and need it. The other is that a consumer goes and asks for it and say, why don't you have it? So if you can create that advocacy, oftentimes it's a heck of a lot easier to get on the shelf that way. So what's your plan for the Walmarts and Targets and Krogers?
Yeah, so we're still kind of early in those conversations. I would say that it's something that we're thinking about. It's something where we want to get there, and I think that we're definitely on track. Probably for us, we're looking at the next year or 2 is when we'll be I mean, if they'll have us, of course, we got to sell in. But I think for the time being, we really are trying to focus on the accounts where we are already in and we're starting to get good velocity. But look, if an opportunity came up tomorrow and we thought it was a great fit for us and we felt as though we could put forward the resources to be successful, then we would take it. And that's what it is. I think that's what we've learned, again, from a lot of just talking to so many entrepreneurs and founders in the food and bev space, is so long as you could put the proper resources towards it, then you can take a shot. But look, if we're launching another, like we're at 3,000 stores right now and 1,200 of those are public. So of course, like we're putting resources towards every account we've launched in, but just the sheer size of Publix is going to take a few more resources. And so if we add another 2,000 stores, that's a lot more resources than adding a couple more boutique accounts and putting some like less resources towards more of those accounts.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, the name of the game, obviously, in stores, it's all about incrementality, and I'm sure you're spending a lot of time focusing on just staying in stock and maintaining your position to keep from getting kind of pushed out from other, incumbent brands. And then the other opportunity is anytime you can get incremental display and be in different places throughout the store where the shopper is going to interact with the brand. That's a great way to drive velocity as well. So I'm assuming that your team is spending a lot of time beyond that initial, sell-in, getting worked into the modular, trying to figure out how can we go about getting more places in the store during more times of the year.
100%. That's what it's all about, is just putting the product in different places in the store. Like we know if we're in the functional bev set, and then there's like flexo space in the dairy set, and we get in there, we can just see the increase in sales. Right. And that just helps our velocity in store. That helps our sell-through story. And then when we do go and talk to the Walmart's, the Walmart's, Targets, them of the world, it's just we have a stronger story. And so I think that's really where right now we are trying to focus on sell-through. But again, as I'm sure you've seen with talking to other startups, is I say this today, tomorrow the strategy could flip. Like it's really day by day, just based on what's happening in the business. Like for example, we just saw a large population that was buying in SoCal, like over the last quarter. And then we're excited to be teaming up with Erewhon starting next month, just as a great influencer account for us. And we didn't realize that. It was just one day. It was just like we took a look at the data and looked at all the sales that were coming in through SoCal.
Yeah. So where did your sales team come from? Did you poach from other brands in competing category, or did you just bring hire people that you knew you could work with and then kind of figure the business out together?
Yeah, so I would say that I don't know if I'd say we poached from anyone. I would say that we put out job recs and we networked to try to see if people were open to new opportunities. And I think there a lot of companies go through an evolution where at some stage they usually have some turnover on their sales teams.
Yeah, of
And so
course.
sometimes that's like, sometimes people reach out when there's that turnover, but a lot of it has just been networking. It's been a lot of our team. Like we find someone and they say they just love working with Slate. It's exciting. It's chocolate milk. It's, we try to empower people to more or less be entrepreneurs and run their own companies within Slate. Like we're always here to help, but I think the mentality that Josh and I try to instill on the team, and even like our directors, like Mike Todd and Justin, and Ron, who helps run marketing, and Nick, and like our entire team, is just like, you're running your own business underneath Slate, and if you need help, we're here. But that mentality, I think, is one that people get excited about. So I think we've been fortunate to meet a lot of awesome people, and again, like our team is our heartbeat. Like everyone on our team, just they're doing so much every single day, and we acknowledge it, that our entire team is crushing it, and so we just want to do as much as we can with fewer people at this stage of the business.
Yeah. How much time are you spending now kind of iterating on the existing product line? And then should we expect to see down the road, line extensions even outside of milk, even outside of beverage?
Yeah, I think that if anyone says that their product is finished and it's complete, then they're in the wrong
Yeah.
business. Is
Yeah.
we're always we always want to be better. Like literally every day. The thing that will always keep me, not literally keeps me up, but the thing that I will always be thinking about is our product can be better. And it's fantastic and it sells well. And like you said, it tastes delicious. But I think every single product I've ever tried can be better. Like there's always a way to make
Sure.
it better. And I think it's
Yeah.
always thinking about how can we make it better. And that's just something that we're always going to be thinking about. Like I think the story is buy reformulated 13 times. I don't know if it's true before exit. And I think that we will always be iterating to a certain extent. But right now I'd say that we have fantastic products and I think they're great. In terms of product extension, I think probably by the end of Q1 next year, maybe into Q2, we will have a line extension. We'll have more flavors, which is exciting. And then
Yeah.
down the road, we have what we call blue sky conversations. It's usually me and Josh on a Friday night or a Sunday night, just talking about what could be. But I think what's unique about what we're doing is that we don't necessarily identify as a dairy company, but we are milk, right? And so I think that there's a lot of opportunity to go wide in either dairy or beverages. And I think that we've had conversations internally, and that's for down the road. Again, I think that we have 3 SKUs right now. We sell them in a lot of different places, in a lot of different formats. We have singles in store. We have 12s, 24s, 48s online. We sell them to gyms to resell. We sell them to restaurants, boutique shops. Like we just want to focus on selling these 3 flavors everywhere we can, and then we'll grow to 5. And then at that point, I think there's a lot of opportunity, like I said, to go wide. But at this point, I think that so much is going to change in the next 12 months in the market. It's hard for us to say where exactly we will go next.
Yeah. So a lot of people start businesses to sell businesses. A lot of people start businesses and can't imagine doing anything else. You're in an area where acquisition at some point, I mean, they're going to be companies, if they haven't already, they're going to start, talking to you with some interest. Obviously you can't predict the future, but
Yep.
do you and Josh feel like this is a long-term thing for the two of you all, or do you think that there's an opportunity at some point in the near future where it's going to be important to have a strategic partner, if not an acquisition, in order for Slate to realize its potential?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. And I think that, we fundraise, we've raised capital, it's public knowledge. And so I think the idea is we want to be in a position where we do not need anyone to acquire the business. And I think that that's, if we collectively, our team, our investors, our advisors, feel as though it's what's best for Slate to partner with strategic, at that point, I think we will. But I think that what we are trying to build is a company that we will have options, right? My mom always said growing up, if you get good grades, you'll have options. That was what she tried to drive me in school, because if I focus on school and I get good grades, then I can go to, like, school wise, or just like having jobs or anything, I'll just have more options. So we want to put ourselves in the position where we have options. And I think that's why, we are competing with companies that are obviously mammoth companies and publicly traded, but also startups in the beverage space that have raised a lot more money, where we still have to compete. But at a certain point, if you raise too much capital too early on, then you are more or less required to sell the business at a certain point, right? And so that's, I think, the tightrope we're walking right now. And I don't think there's a right way to do it. I think that everyone is doing it the best they can. And I love talking to other startup founders and seeing all the innovation that everyone's doing, because we all want the same thing. We want to create better products for consumers.
Right.
Like we like being a part of this better for you movement in grocery is really exciting. Like I consume products that are from people that are not my friends all the time. It's great. But I think the short-winded answer is we don't have an answer yet. We just want to make sure we have options.
Yeah. So besides making great products, and it's a great product, what makes your organization unique and special? What about the culture of your company is unique, and that uniqueness kind of gives you confidence in your ability to scale?
I think that any business, I don't want to say any business, I only know businesses I've been a part of, but if every individual, if as a group, you can look the entire team in the mirror, you're all looking at yourselves and you're saying like, you're happy and like you're picking each other up. I think that's a business that is on the right track. Before making consumers happy, we have to make our employees happy. We have to make sure that everyone feels empowered to do their job. Like we launched in 2019 November as a line of better for you chocolate milks. We are evolving into a strength and energy company. That's what we sell. We sell good tasting protein and caffeine. We sell strength and energy. And that concept of empowerment is something we try to instill upon our team members and give them the tools to do their job well, but also like encourage them to do things in their personal life. Like encourage them to kind of step out of their comfort zone a little bit. And I think that you know, a lot, I don't know if this is going to be one of your questions, but a lot of people ask what will success have looked like?
Yeah.
And everything, like size aside, whatever, it starts with the team. It starts with the people. These are the people that are literally living Slate every single day. And if they're happy and if they're enjoying the ride, then I think that we have done our job. And then of course they're like great taste, great product, the hitting our sales goals, we're a business, but I think that's where it all begins, is the internal team members. And we try, obviously we're all doing a million things, but we try to empower people to do their jobs well and take risks and make mistakes. Like we all make mistakes. Like Josh and I are like, we say like, look, if you watch our Shark Tank episode, we have failed and we are the first to admit that, but go out there and just give it your all. And I think that sense of empowerment is something that we want to spread amongst the business.
Yeah. So beyond, making great products and building a great, organization, who are you and as a human, and what's important to you?
That's a great question. I don't think I've been asked that in a long time. I mean, I think that I am a former high school athlete. I love sports. That's in my core, in my DNA. That now has a passion for fitness. And I think Josh and I both, like we are now like morphed into one, but like we want to bring as much joy to as many people as we can. And like, I think that's what's also so cool about chocolate milk, is bringing it back to Slate, but it's like when people drink it and they kind of smile and like nod, that never gets old. When we get an email of someone whose son is or daughter is a diabetic and they haven't chocolate milk in years, or they're a swimmer and they weren't getting enough protein, like, and too much sugar, every single one of those emails is like why we do what we do, because that's what we want to be. That's who we want. Like, I can't really talk for Josh, but that's who I want to be. It's just positively impacting as many lives as I can. And again, I think that's just like instilled upon me from my parents. And I think Josh and I are both so fortunate that we've always had support. We've always had support from our families. They believe in us, like go out and do it. And yeah, that's that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Manny Lubin, co-founder of Slate Milk, it has been so much fun getting to spend a little bit of time getting to know you and the story and the business. And thank you again for the samples. I can't wait to be able to buy it at my Walmart store, and there'll be a lot of people excited to see that happen soon. Thank you again, and best of luck to you and Josh and your organization as you charge ahead.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Have a great day.